I'm here with Manzoor Ishani from Sherrards Solicitors, and we're really going to talk about the franchise agreement from the buyer's point of view. So if you're looking to buy a franchise, you probably need to know what a franchise agreement is.
When you buy a franchise, you're effectively buying the rights to run a business. And you need to have an agreement that will set out the rules that are going to govern the way you run that business and what happens in the longer term as well.
I come across a franchise that I'm interested in, I make all the inquiries. Now I'm given this, essentially a contract, there's a franchise agreement.
Yes.
Do I need to take legal advice before I sign it?
Oh, most definitely. The franchise contract is really quite a complex document because it pulls together various aspects of running the business, but it also, has within the contract certain rights which you need to see protected as a operator of the franchise business. You need to know that the brand that you're buying into is going to remain as valuable as it is on the day you bought it. Second thing is that the franchise agreement may be legal because it has been drafted by a solicitor, but that doesn't necessarily make it ethical. And that's when the British Franchise Association comes in, because there is a code of ethics, and ethical franchisors would abide by this code of ethics. And the purpose of the code of ethics is really to make sure that franchises don't get ripped off, and agreements don't contain hidden clauses that could prove to be very expensive for the franchise buyer.
What sort of fees are they looking at for this kind of work?
Most franchise solicitors, and you do have to go to a solicitor who specialises in franchising, will give you a quote, and it'll range between £350 plus VAT to maybe £700. For that, you would expect the solicitor to read the agreement, understand the agreement, and explain it to you.
Do you come across stories where the buyer has not taken that advice?
Time I come across something like that is when there is a problem. We've got a situation where there's litigation looming. They then come in and say, well, look, I've got this problem. The franchisor hasn't done what he said he would do. I'm not getting the support, or the advertising money seems to have disappeared and I don't know where it's gone, and so on and so forth. And at that stage you say, well, okay, let's have a look at the agreement, because it's the agreement that will govern your relationship. When I read the agreement, and if I find one or two things which I think perhaps shouldn't have been there, I say, well, did you ever get this reviewed? And they say no. What baffles me is that they're willing to spend £15,000 or £30,000 to buy a business concept, but they won't spend £300 or £400 on getting advice. But it does happen, yes.
What are the 2 or 3 key franchise terms, the key terms of that contract that they really need to be focusing on?
If before you buy, during the initial stages, they say, well, look, Mr. Ishani, the franchise is going to cost you £20,000, but out of that, we're going to spend £3,000 on launching your business, you need to see that that is written in the agreement, because the way these agreements are drafted, if it's not written in the agreement, it will not be binding. The second thing, which is very important, is that you look to see what situations it covers that are important to you. What happens at the end of the, say, 5-year period? Where does that leave you? What happens if you want to sell your business? What happens if you want to leave the network? Are you allowed to carry on in the business, or do you have to leave it completely? The contract should address those issues. And I think finally I would say that it must contain the right for you to use the brand that you are buying into, and very important, it must say what the franchisor will do if somebody is using that brand without their consent. If a copycat operation springs up next door to you, is the franchisor obliged to protect you and take some action on that? Because that's what you're buying at the end of the day.
Manzoor, thank you very much.